If they gossip about you, you're winning. It might not feel like it at first, when you hear that people are talking behind your back, questioning your choices, laughing at your ambitions, or distorting your words. The first reaction is often discomfort. Maybe anger, maybe confusion. But Machiavelli, with his cold and pragmatic insight into human behavior, would not only understand this reaction, he would expect it. In fact, he would tell you that their gossip is a sign of your growing power, because gossip is rarely directed at the weak. The truly insignificant are ignored. They are neither loved nor hated. They are invisible. But when people begin whispering your name in private rooms, when your presence provokes opinions, when your actions become the subject of debates in your absence, it is because you've stepped outside the boundaries of mediocrity. You've started. Does it matter? Machiavelli knew that power attracts attention, and attention attracts enemies. He didn't view gossip as merely a petty social behavior. He saw it as a strategic weapon of the weak. When someone lacks the strength to confront you directly, when they don't have the position or the courage to stand against you openly, they attack in shadows. They try to sabotage your reputation, plant doubts in the minds of others, paint you as arrogant, selfish, manipulative. But this tactic is not a sign of their intelligence, it's a confession of their impotence. They gossip because that's all they can do. It is their way of trying to reclaim some sense of control in a world where you're ascending and they're stagnating. To be gossiped about is to be seen as a threat. It means your presence, your confidence, your direction in life is shaking people. And when someone shakes the comfort zone of others, they often pay for it not in confrontation but in whispers. The truly strong man, the Machiavellian man, does not bend to gossip. He understands its role, its purpose. He does not react emotionally to it because he knows that responding gives it power. Instead, he uses it. Gossip is free publicity. It means people are talking. It means you are becoming relevant. Your name is being carried from mouth to mouth. Your story, even if twisted, is gaining reach. And behind closed doors, some of those who hear the gossip will become curious. They'll start watching, and when they watch, they see for themselves. They separate truth from fiction. And in that moment, you've gained more than your gossiper ever intended. You've captured attention and perhaps even new allies. The man who seeks respect, who chooses a life of strategic power, must accept that gossip is part of the price. You cannot climb without being seen. You cannot win without being envied. You cannot rise without unsettling those who wish to keep you beneath them. And what Machiavelli would say is this: be feared rather than loved, if you cannot be both. But never be dismissed. Gossip proves you are not dismissed. It proves you have weight, and it proves the weakness of those who cannot bear to see you grow. So when they talk, let them talk. Let them waste their time weaving stories about you while you stay silent and focused. Every minute they spend gossiping is a minute there, not improving themselves. Every insult, every rumor, every sarcastic comment behind your back, each one is a reflection, not of who you are, but of who they wish they could be. Weak people gossip, strong people act, and those who rise, who intimidate others with their vision and their will always be the subject of whispers. Machiavelli wouldn't apologize for that. He would smile, knowing that influence is being born in the noise. There is something seductive about being the one who is talked about. It means you're entering people's minds. You're influencing them without even trying. You're haunting their thoughts while you continue forward. Gossip is a mirror of social anxiety. People don't gossip about the dull or the defeated. They gossip about the unpredictable, the bold, the non-conforming. If you are being gossiped about, you are already operating at a higher frequency than most. That's why they're bothered. That's why they need to drag you down with words, because they don't know how to rise up through action. Understand that in the Machiavellian view of power, appearances matter. Reputation is a tool, and even your enemies through their gossip are helping to sharpen that tool. Let them build the myth around you. Let them exaggerate, distort, speculate, because the more they talk, the more eyes turn toward you. And when people look, you deliver. That's how you win. That's how gossip becomes your ally. You turn it into fuel. You let it amplify your mystique. You let it filter out the weak from the strong, the loyal from the jealous. You don't explain yourself. You don't justify your steps. You let the results speak while the cowards speak in corners, and soon they tire themselves out. Because those who gossip feed on reactions, and when you give them none, they choke on their own bitterness. That's power. That's control. That's the revenge of the strong. So yes, if they gossip about you, you're winning. Because weak men don't attack ghosts. They attack what's real. And if you're being attacked, even in whispers, it means you've become real in a world full of illusions. They don't whisper about failures. They don't mock the forgotten. They don't envy the compliant. They target the rising star, the one who breaks the mold, the one who dares to think for himself and walk alone. They gossip because your very existence forces them to look at their own stagnation. It reminds them of their passivity, their compromises, the silent agreements they've made with mediocrity. Your courage exposes their cowardice. Your ambition exposes their laziness. Your presence, even if you say nothing, becomes an accusation because you are moving forward and they are not. Machiavelli would advise you never to underestimate the strategic value of public perception. When people gossip, they may think they're hurting you, but they are in fact reinforcing your narrative. You become the outsider, the misunderstood, the man who stands apart. And what they don't realize is that many secretly admire that. Even those who repeat the gossip often feel drawn to the person at the center of it. There's a reason we're fascinated by rebels, leaders, and lone wolves. The world needs examples of courage, even if it pretends to resent them. And gossip is how society simultaneously attacks and elevates those who dare to be different. In this sense, gossip is the applause of the cowards. It's their way of acknowledging your influence without ever giving you the satisfaction of a compliment. It's a distorted form of admiration, poisoned by resentment. The truth is that many wish they had your strength, but instead of emulating it, they try to diminish it with words. That's human nature. Machiavelli didn't believe in the goodness of men. He believed in their self-interest, in their fear, in their desire for control. And gossip is how the weak try to control the narrative. But only if you let them. You must learn to treat gossip like background noise. It is irrelevant to your mission. You are not here to be liked. You are not here to explain yourself. You are here to build, to rise, to become undeniable. And if they talk, let them. You will never be able to silence the insecure, but you can become so focused, so disciplined, so successful that their voices fade into irrelevance. That is what makes them powerless, not your retaliation, your indifference. Silence is your weapon. While they waste energy crafting stories, you craft your legacy. While they try to shape perception with gossip, you shape reality with action. That is the difference between the strong and the weak. One lives in illusion, the other in execution. And make no mistake, there is no shortage of people who would rather see you fail than confront their own shortcomings. The world is full of those who hope to drag down what they cannot rise to meet. But you must never descend to their level. That is the trap. The strong never play on the battlefield chosen by the weak. Machiavelli believed that it is better to be feared than loved, if one cannot be both. Gossip is a form of fear. They fear what you represent. They fear the change you bring. They fear the way you disrupt the comfortable roles they've assigned to themselves. They gossip to feel safe again, to pretend they still have the upper hand. But their fear is your confirmation. It proves that your presence has force, that your decisions are being watched, that your moves are unpredictable and therefore dangerous to the status quo. And that is your power. Unpredictability. Mystery. Confidence. These are the things they can't tolerate because they can't control them. You are not the man who asks for permission. You are not the man who waits to be accepted. You walk into the room and change its temperature. And so they talk because they don't know how else to process you. But you don't need to process them. You keep moving. Eventually, some of the very people who gossip about you will try to align themselves with you. They'll want to be near your power, near your success, near the confidence they once ridiculed. That's the cycle. The same mouths that mocked you will one day praise you when it's safe to do so. But you will remember who they were when you had nothing, who whispered when you needed silence, who sowed doubt when you needed clarity. You will not hold on to hate, you will simply not forget. Because Machiavelli teaches us, forgive if it serves your strategy, but never forget where the threats once came from. Let your life become too grand, too full, too focused for gossip to affect it. Let your goals drown out the noise. Let your reputation be forged not by defense, but by undeniable results. Those who matter will see through the lies, and those who cling to the lies never mattered in the first place. So yes, if they gossip about you, you're winning, because you've stepped into a different tier of existence. You're no longer one of them. You've chosen the path of power, purpose, and solitude. And the higher you climb, the more the voices below will try to reach you with their noise. But they can't touch you unless you look down. Don't. Keep climbing. Keep building. Let them talk. Let them wonder. Let them fear. That's how kings are born. And as you continue to rise, you must accept a fundamental truth. The higher you go, the thinner the air gets. Not just in terms of pressure, but in loyalty, in sincerity, in clarity. With power comes isolation. Not because you reject others, but because the journey itself filters people. Gossip becomes more common, not less, as you climb. Why? Because fewer people will understand your vision. Fewer people will relate to your discipline. Fewer people will have the courage to pursue their own path with the same intensity, and that distance breeds resentment. They don't attack what they understand. They attack what makes them feel inferior. You will be misunderstood. You will be misjudged. But remember, you are not here to be understood. You are here to conquer your own potential. Let them misunderstand you. Let them invent reasons for your ambition. Let them call you arrogant, cold, detached, obsessed. It means they see your fire, but cannot fathom the reason it burns. Gossip is a symptom of confusion mixed with jealousy. It's their way of rationalizing why they feel threatened by someone who was once just like them, but chose to rise. And instead of learning from your courage, they criticize it. Instead of following your lead, they try to discredit it. Machiavelli would remind you, never interrupt your enemy when he is making a mistake. And gossip is a mistake. It's the mistake of wasting energy on noise instead of results. Let them keep talking. Their gossip reveals more about them than it does about you. It reveals their priorities, their envy, their smallness. They gossip because they are stuck, because their lives lack movement, and yours is defined by it. And so, in their stillness, they narrate your motion. Think about that. How powerful must your actions be that they cannot stop talking about them, even in your absence? You must use this dynamic to your advantage. When they talk about you, you gain visibility. When they exaggerate your traits, they build your myth. When they question your motives, they stir interest. In the theater of power, perception matters, and even negative attention is better than invisibility. You can't influence a room that doesn't know your name. Gossip ensures that they do. And when you walk into that room, you already have gravity. Some will love you, some will hate you, but no one will ignore you. This is how real power works. It polarizes. It creates admiration and fear, loyalty and betrayal, but it never creates indifference. And that's what separates leaders from followers, kings from peasants, warriors from talkers. You don't build an empire by being neutral. You don't command respect by trying to be universally liked. You win by standing firm, speaking less, and acting more. Let the gossips fill the silence you leave behind. Let them wonder why you don't respond. That mystery becomes your shield. That silence becomes your dominance. Eventually, the truth always surfaces. Time reveals everything. When the noise fades and the dust settles, your consistency will speak louder than their rumors. Your results will silence their narratives. Your legacy will outlive their petty words. And the irony is this: many of those who gossip now will one day claim they supported you all along. They'll rewrite history to stay close to your light. They'll pretend they never doubted you. That's what happens when you win. But you don't need their validation. You never did. That's what terrifies them most. You are self-directed. You are governed by your mission, not their opinions. That makes you immune to their attacks, untouchable. In their world of masks and social games, you are the anomaly, authentic, focused and unbothered. And that drives them mad, because deep down they wish they could live the same way. The man who follows Machiavellian wisdom knows this. Never reveal your full hand. Never let your emotions betray your control. If gossip hurts you, do not show it. If betrayal stings, smile and move forward. Let your composure be your revenge. Let your silence echo louder than their noise. Because true power is quiet. It doesn't chase validation, it commands it. So yes, if they gossip about you, you're winning. You're threatening the comfortable illusions they've built around their average lives. You're reminding them simply by existing that more is possible, and that hurts, because to admit that truth is to confront their own cowardice. They would rather talk about you than change themselves. Let them. You keep going, you rise in silence, you work in darkness, you execute relentlessly. And when your moment comes, when your results are undeniable and your success is too visible to be ignored, those whispers will turn into silence, because the ones who talked the most will have nothing left to say. You will have proven what they never believed, and you won't need to say a single word. That's the Machiavellian path. Let the weak seek comfort in gossip. Let the strong find power in purpose. Let your results be your reply. And never forget, if your name is in their mouth, it's because you're already ahead. And as you continue your silent ascent, untouched by the noise, something else will begin to happen. Those who once gossiped will start to imitate. Not openly, of course, not with humility, but subtly, awkwardly, they'll begin to mimic your mindset, your discipline, your drive. Because deep down, even in the hearts of the petty and the insecure, there lies an instinct that recognizes strength. And when that strength persists, when it doesn't crack under pressure, when it doesn't need approval to grow, it becomes magnetic. Imitation is the second stage after gossip. At first they mock, then they watch, then they mimic, and finally they follow. But you won't concern yourself with who's following and who's still whispering. You'll be too far ahead, too invested in the process, too aligned with your purpose to care. This is not arrogance, this is focus, this is strategy, this is Machiavellian awareness. You've understood something the masses never will. That legacy is built in silence. That true authority doesn't beg to be seen. It demands recognition through action, through resilience, through the unwillingness to explain or defend. You don't waste breath correcting false narratives. You don't run around extinguishing every fire started by insecure tongues. You let them burn themselves out. And while they burn, you build. You become more disciplined, more precise, more effective. And that effectiveness silences more enemies than any argument ever could. That's power. Real, undeniable power. Not granted by others, but forged by character, consistency, and cold-focused execution. Understand this. Gossip is static in the signal of life. It is a distraction, a test, a minor obstacle designed to pull your energy away from where it belongs. And most people fail that test. They fall into the trap of needing to be understood, needing to be liked, needing to defend their image, but not you. You've outgrown that. You've realized that your image will be shaped not by the noise of others, but by the weight of your achievements. Let the world misjudge you for now. You're not building for now. You're building for the long game. Machiavelli would tell you that most people are ruled by appearances, but the wise man controls appearances while focusing on substance. So if they call you cold, let them. If they say you've changed, let them. If they say you think you're better, let them. Because in silence you are becoming better, stronger, sharper, and with each quiet success you are taking ground they didn't even know existed. One day they'll realize you weren't trying to prove anything, you were simply trying to become everything you were meant to be. And that realization will hit them not like a whisper but like thunder, but by then it will be too late for them to keep up. They'll still be stuck in the habits of the weak, talking, doubting, watching, while you're living a life they can't even understand. That is the reward for staying silent. That is the reward for not stooping down to their level. And if you're truly following Machiavellian wisdom, you also understand that sometimes gossip can be useful. It can be planted, directed, leveraged. If people are going to talk, let them talk about what you want them to see. Let them speculate while you maneuver. Let them fixate on shadows while you move in daylight. Confuse them, frustrate them. Use their obsession with you to make them predictable. A man who talks too much reveals everything. A man who is talked about reveals nothing. This is a position of power. This is where you want to be. Because the truth is, you don't want to be liked by everyone. You want to be respected by the right people and feared by the wrong ones. Gossip makes that possible. It separates the wheat from the chaff. It shows you who is weak-minded, who lacks loyalty, who lets envy drive their actions. It reveals character. And every time someone spreads your name without reason, they unknowingly reveal their own. Take note, watch carefully, and never forget who stood beside you when the noise was loudest. You will reach a point where gossip no longer touches you, not because it stops, but because you've transcended it. You become too high to hear it, too powerful to be affected. That is the final stage, the moment where your presence alone silences rooms, where your reputation is not just built, it is feared. They'll remember the stories they told, and they'll feel the shame of having doubted someone who never needed their permission to rise. So when you hear they've been talking, when the whispers reach your ears, you do not panic, you do not defend, you do not shrink, you smirk. Because you know the truth. You know what it means. You know what Machiavelli would say. The lion does not concern himself with the opinions of sheep. And you are the lion. Let them speak. Let them waste their time. Let them fuel the legend. Because in the end, the only thing more powerful than a man with discipline, focus, and vision is that same man undisturbed by the noise of the weak. And while they waste their breath whispering your name in the shadows, you move with intention, through the light and darkness alike. Your silence is not emptiness, it is strategy. Every word you choose not to say, every insult you choose not to respond to, every rumor you choose not to acknowledge, that is all power. Discipline of the tongue is the mark of a man who understands control. And control, above all else, is the currency of influence. You see, the weak gossip because they are ruled by emotion, by fear, by insecurity. They react, they panic, they seek approval from other weak minds to feel justified in their jealousy. But the strong understand that emotion, when unchecked, is a liability. You do not react. You observe. You do not retaliate. You adapt. And by staying still while others spiral, you become untouchable. Because the one who can remain composed in chaos becomes the center of gravity. There is a beautiful irony in all of this. While they talk, you transform. While they mock, you evolve. While they search for flaws in your character, you refine your mind, your body, your goals. You wake up before them. You work harder than them. You think deeper than them. They see your image, but they don't see the hunger behind your eyes, the scars you carry silently, the sleepless nights spent building a life they could never comprehend. They gossip because they can't feel what you feel. They can't imagine your fire. And when people cannot understand your hunger, they try to destroy your name. Let them try, because a name rooted in discipline, forged through hardship, and built upon action cannot be erased by mere words. You are not fighting their noise. You are building something far more enduring than their shallow narratives. You're building a legacy. And legacy is built in solitude, with your back against the wall and your eyes fixed on a horizon that no one else can see. Machiavelli would warn, "You that men are quick to betray, quick to lie, and quick to turn on those they once admired. So expect it, plan for it. Anticipate the gossip not as a possibility, but as a certainty. It will come the moment you start to distinguish yourself, the moment you walk differently, speak with more purpose, hold your silence when others babble. Your difference will provoke them, because people don't attack sameness, they attack contrast, they attack what reminds them of their own limits. You are that contrast, that reminder, that threat. And the most Machiavellian move you can make: never stop. Never let their words alter your trajectory. Use them. Convert their noise into energy. Let every lie, every whisper, every passive-aggressive smile become weight that you carry with pride. Because the more they throw on your back, the stronger you become. And one day that weight will become your wings. You'll notice too how gossip rarely flows upward. Those above you don't talk. They act. They strategize. They align with power. But those below, they talk, they speculate, they drag each other down in the mud because that's where they live. But you're not in the mud anymore. You're not in that realm. And that separation will only grow as your self-mastery sharpens. Eventually, you'll learn to appreciate the gossip. You'll welcome it, because it means you're still a threat. It means your fire still burns. The day they stop talking is the day you've become irrelevant. So as long as your name echoes in their insecure conversations, take it as a compliment. You are doing something right. You are moving in a way they cannot ignore. And one final truth, perhaps the most important: you were never meant to be understood by everyone. That's not your mission. That's not your duty. Your purpose is not to please them. It is to become undeniable, to build a life so unshakable, so rich in meaning and strength that their gossip sounds absurd in comparison to your reality. That's the real victory. Not clapping back, not setting the record straight, but living so high above their noise that it becomes irrelevant. So rise. Rise with dignity, with discipline, with deliberate silence. Rise until their gossip turns into awe. Rise until their voices dry out, and all that's left is the undeniable truth of who you've become. That's how power is built, not in the light of approval, but in the shadows of resistance. Let them talk. You're already winning. Oh, ChatGPT dis, because the man who truly wins in life is not the one who is applauded by the crowd, but the one who keeps walking when no one claps, the one who keeps building when no one sees, the one who doesn't need to be cheered on, praised, validated or understood to continue moving forward with terrifying focus. He is dangerous not because he seeks to hurt others, but because he cannot be stopped by them. That is why they gossip, because they cannot slow you down by force, so they try to poison your image. They try to stain your name, to distort your reputation, hoping it will fracture your resolve. But they fail. Because you're not here to be liked. You're here to be respected, or feared, or both. Gossip is the weapon of those without courage, and courage is rare. That's why your silence is terrifying to them. It reflects a level of discipline they can't comprehend. A man who does not react, a man who stays calm when his name is dragged through the dirt, is a man who is in control, not just of the situation, but of himself. And self-control is the ultimate form of power. When you master yourself, you become a threat to everyone who is still a slave to their emotions. You see, there's no strength in explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You owe them nothing, not your truth, not your plans, not your feelings. Let them create their little stories, let them draw their own false conclusions. That's not your concern. Your concern is with building, achieving, and transforming, because you understand something very few do. Time reveals all truths, and the future belongs not to those who talk the most, but to those who act in silence and consistency. And make no mistake, consistency is the death of gossip. While rumors fade, results remain. You continue to rise, you continue to evolve. You continue to accumulate skill, value, knowledge, and presence. One day, the very people who spread your name like a disease will watch in silence as that name becomes a brand, a reputation, a force. They will realize too late that in trying to diminish you, they amplified you. Their obsession with you made you more visible. Their mockery became marketing. Their hatred became free promotion. The Machiavellian mind uses this. It doesn't fight noise with more noise. It turns noise into leverage. You become so stoic, so patient, so strategic, that even their attacks play into your hand. You let the chaos swirl around you, while you remain still like the eye of a storm. And the more they talk, the more confused they become about your true position, your real intentions, your next move. That confusion is power, because people can't destroy what they can't predict. So you stay unreadable, untouchable, composed. You wear their gossip like armor, because you know none of it touches who you really are. And when the moment comes, when the time is right, you act with precision, with force, with confidence. And suddenly all the noise they made will seem like static behind a signal too powerful to be ignored. They will fall silent, not because you silenced them, but because you made them irrelevant. And then comes the final transformation, the moment when you are no longer defined by their words, but by your own legacy. You become a symbol, a man who cannot be bent, cannot be broken, cannot be dragged down by petty minds. Your discipline becomes your language, your actions become your story, and your silence becomes your legend. Remember, men talk about what they don't understand, they gossip about what they can't become, and they envy what they cannot touch. Let them gossip. You keep rising, you keep building, you keep walking through the storm with your head high and your soul calm, because nothing is more threatening to a world ruled by weakness than a man who walks in power without needing applause. That man is you. And as you rise further, there comes a sacred point in your journey where the noise finally fades. Not because it disappears, but because it no longer registers in your mind. The frequency of small minds cannot penetrate the elevated consciousness of a man on a mission. You've trained your focus like a weapon. You no longer seek to prove. You no longer hope to be seen. You have become so immersed in your purpose that your identity is no longer reactive. It is forged, chosen, and untouchable. This is the final transformation. When their words don't reach you, not because you are deaf, but because you have outgrown the need to listen. You no longer pause when your name is mentioned. You don't feel the urge to correct their version of you. You let their fantasies roam while you build something real. Let them believe what they want. You've already won the moment you stopped, needing to be right in their eyes, because a lion doesn't need to roar to be feared. A king doesn't need to explain his crown, and a warrior doesn't ask for permission to wield his blade. He acts, he leads, he endures, quietly, powerfully, relentlessly. You must understand truly and deeply that the men who make history are never those who beg to be understood. They are the ones who move despite being misunderstood. The ones who are spoken about in hushed tones, envied in silence, hated for their confidence, feared for their composure. They are the men who remain still while others shake, who walk while others talk, who endure while others break. They are the ones who use gossip not as chains, but as confirmation that they are already ahead, and the weak will always need to talk. They need the illusion of control, the comfort of collective judgment, the distraction from their own unrealized potential. Let them have it. While they speak your name, you will build your kingdom. While they try to stain your image, you will carve your legacy into stone. While they waste time, you will dominate it. In the end, the world remembers the builders, not the gossips, the creators, not the critics, the silent giants who worked in shadows while the crowd laughed in daylight, only to rise so high that even the mockers were forced to bow. That is your destiny, if you remain committed, not to revenge, not to proving others wrong, but to becoming so real, so strong, so irrefutably powerful that nothing they say will matter, only what you've done. So let them talk, let them whisper your name like a curse, let them analyze your every move like cowards peering through a keyhole. You walk forward, head high, eyes sharp, spirit grounded. And when your silence becomes deafening, when your results scream louder than any rumor ever could, they will finally understand. You were never the story they told. You were always the truth they feared.